Before you watch the video or skip to the next part, make sure that you stop. Why? Because I might save your money and time. We have Preference Prime subscription, which is like Netflix but for placement preparation, upskilling, coding, and certifications. It has more than 200 plus courses like AI, ML, data science, AWS cloud, full stack web development, CZ, Java, Python, DSA, component coding, aptitude. Even has micro courses for companies like TCS, MPT, Wipro, Deloitte, ZS, Amazon, Cisco, Qualcomm, etc. So all problem solved just with one single subscription. And not just courses, just like a single subscription. We also have a Preference placement cell that has more than 400 plus hiring partners, and we actually do refer you in all of these companies once you complete our track of these weeks.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and as you can see in this video we are going to solve some of the coding questions for Deloitte. And since from your request we have been covering this for the many companies as well. If you are new on this channel, I recommend you to subscribe to this. And also as you know, you might have been already familiar with respect to that, there are a lot of companies are going to hire this placement season, and if you want to stay updated with respect to all the hiring that is happening, so I'd recommend you to follow us on our Instagram channel. And also we have communities on WhatsApp and Discord and Telegram, and we share a lot of details on the LinkedIn as well. So if you're new to this channel, subscribe, and also all the links are given in the bio for you to get most recent updates about the companies. And since we are covering a lot of company placement related videos on the YouTube, so that you will get that and you will get the notification for the recent updates. So in this video, basically we are going to solve two questions for Deloitte that have been that you can prepare. You can expect which kind of questions can be asked in this company. So without further ado, let's get started with the first question that we have. So basically here we have given the first question, and this question you will have option to choose your programming language. So I'm going to tell you the answer in Python and C++ as well. And also there is something that assignment is going to be given to you on this video. So stay tuned till the last, and let's get started for the first question. So here we have every decimal number can be changed into its binary form. Okay. And suppose your computer has its own coronavirus that eats binary digit from the right side of a number. So basically there's some kind of virus, and that eats up the binary digits from the right side of the number. And suppose a virus has 6 spikes, then it will eat up 6 LBS, so LSP. So that is means like least significant bit that you can say. And I'll tell you what exactly is least significant bits are and binary digits in your numbers. So basically, let's say given the number of spikes that it has, so it's going to eat up those many bits from the number that you have on your computer. So you will have a bunch of numbers, and your machine will have a virus with n spikes, and you have to calculate what will be the final situation of the final number. So basically, they are going to provide us with the numbers and also the spikes of the virus, and based on that, we have to compute like how it is going to affect on the given numbers, and we have to give the final numbers what we are going to do. Get it? Okay. So now basically let's look at some of the examples to clarify, and before the examples, I'll tell you how the input format of the question is going to be. For example, let's say you can expect the first number n is going to represent a single integer, and then the second n, which is second line, represents n separated integers. So let's say if you give the number as 5, then the second value is going to be an array of 5 elements, and there's a bunch of the value. We can say them as array of v or any of the values. And then the third line is a single integer n and the number of spikes in a coronavirus for a computer. For example, let's say you give like 3 spikes, 4 or 5, any of the spikes that it represent by the third input parameter that has been given. And what will be the output? A single n spaced separated integers denoting the final situation with an array v values. Okay, so this is what the conditions that we have for the input format and the output format. Let's look at some of the sample example, and then we'll try to solve this question. So with respect to this sample input, first understand how you have to calculate this, what will be the logic, how they have reached to this certain output it has. Okay, so first value that we have is n value is 5, then we have array of v followed by the 5 numbers followed by the spaces, and we have number of spikes too. So it is not recommended that these are numbers are going to be in a sequential order, since for the example that we have taken. And given this input, the output is something like this. Now, how to achieve this output? And let's say, for example, if you're not even understood the question, what exactly it is expecting in this one, let's break it down and let's try to understand what they mean by this. Okay, first thing is that we have to do, like, whenever we talk about least significant bit, that means, for example, let's say given a number, first let's take that number in a decimal and let's convert, let's say 5 is the number, and if you have to convert that into binary, since all these least significant bits are applicable on the binary, so we can convert that, and once you convert, it is going to be 101, which is a notation for 5 in a binary. Now, if you tell like least significant bit, and since with respect to this question, so basically otherwise like you are going to perform right shift of operator. So with this question, it says that it's going to eat up or it's going to corrupt the bits which are like which are like LSB bits, and given the number. For example, here we have the two spikes, right, which represents this least significant bits from this. So most of the time, whenever you are using this parameter, so we are going to perform the right shift operator. But since, for example, it is saying that we can just cancel out this, so we are not going to consider, and what is left is 1, like not this. So basically, it is going to left this 1, right? So whenever you give the number as a 5. So similarly, this operation we have to perform on all of these numbers one by one, and at the end we have to get what are the output values that are remained, and that is going to be this number. So let's break it down. So for example, n is 5, and the first value that we have is 1. So we have this in a decimal value that we have to convert into a binary, and then you have to perform this like, but we have to identify how many least significant bits, like 2, and it's going to be the output. Okay, so basically we are going to get that. So 1, it's basically going to be, if I have to write that in a 4 bits, then it will be 0, 0, 0, 1. And if I remove this 2 significant bits, last 2, so it will this, and it will left with 0. So even like this number eventually we're not representing anything, so that's why we can write it as 0. And now second value that we have is 2. So how we can represent 2 in binary is basically we can represent 0, 0, 1, 0 is represented as 2 is represented like this. And if we just say number of spikes that we have and the rightmost digit, like from the right, if you just eat up, if your computer or the virus eat up this. So I'm just showing you in terms of the visualization how this exactly happens. Otherwise, in the code, you're going to use the operators, which are something like this, and you will not understand exactly what is happening under the hood. Okay, so and here also we are left with a 0, and when we use the number 3, which is like this, and how to write this, so we have 0, then this will also be 0, 1, 1 is, this is nothing but the 3 in binary, and if you again this 2 significant bits, if we have it up, then it will also remain with 0. Then we have 4, and 4 is how we represent 4 is like 0, 1, 00, which is represented in a binary as like this, and even if you eat up this 2, it is left with 1. Okay, and then we have 5. So basically 5 is represented as 0, 1, 0, 1, and with respect to 4 bits representation, and if we remove these 2 bits, it's going to be the here, and this is all, like if you try to read up like this, and this is what actually left in terms of the sample output, because we were supposed to give since all the input that we were supposed to give in terms of space separated, right? So we have given this all these numbers, if I read from top to top bottom, we have given them as a space separator, as a list, and same thing if you read it over what is the output is going to be, and you're going to get this 000 and 11 as the output, and this is how we have to perform. So in a code, and whether you can do that in a C++ or Python, we are going to use this operator to perform that. And but since let's look at this. Alright, so now let's say if this is something new to you and you are not even comfortable with respect to solving this kind of question, I'll tell you with respect to, before going with the answer, I'll tell you where you can practice this kind of questions. So basically, if you look at Alright, so if you look at this platform, so here we have on Prepinsta Prime, so you can just check this all the questions here. Under we have companies, and in that you can just scroll down to basically about we are going to talk about Deloitte. So here is a complete syllabus I will show you, and in this syllabus, so you can check all the courses. So everything that you need to prepare for the Deloitte is already prepared here for you. You do not have to worry about anything. So here we have 250 plus hours of content and plus mock test, and all the videos are going to be in the iterative way and interactive way, so that it will be easier for you to learn. And not just about the Deloitte. So already with this entire subscription, you are going to get more than 200 plus courses. So in order to prepare for this specific courses, you have to complete, basically you have to start your learning from any one of the programming language. You can pick C++, Java, Python, or C. Everything is available. And for the after that, you have to learn about basic coding and intermediate coding, so that it will be beneficial for you to solve this kind of how you can solve this kind of questions. And also, most of the time, they might ask you the questions on the data structures as well. So you can cover the data structures with respect to a specific programming language that has been provided here. All right, and after that, if you're for the initial rounds, aptitude is mandatory, so you can just go through these aptitudes, and we have a complete company specific tags which I have shown you. And let's say if you want to focus on some of the core fundamental subject, that is everything is provided on the platform. So this is what I have already given, and if you want to get the subscription, so I have given you the description on the link in the description. So let's get back to the question, and we'll try to answer this question first, and then we'll look at the next one. All right. So basically here we have, and let's clear out this. Okay. So here we have, just to make it a little bit easier for you, so I'm going to put that. So I think this is going to be readable for you. Okay, so the first thing that we need is the number of values that we are going to feed. So basically the first value, and in the second input, we are going to create an array of the values. So here what we are going to do is we are going to take the input from the user, and as the input that you are going to take is going to be in a space separated format, right? And by default in Python, that is going to be in the string format. So that's why we will split it. So if you split that, we have to convert that basically from the input that we got, like something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is what the input that we have taken from the user. Let's say we want to convert that into a list. So we will give that with the space separate, and since we have not put anything in the split method, so it will split this string in a space, and for each value, we are going to convert that into a int. We are using a map function which will take one value from this input, and that will convert into int, and at the end all the values that we are going to convert into a list. So after performing this, the value of v is going to be something like this, 1, 2. So we are performing this operation to basically convert the input string taken from the user in this list format. Once we get that, we are going to take the input for number of spikes from the user itself, and then we are going to define a method or you can say function here, which is going to be apply the virus, where we will take the value and the spikes, and this is what nothing but your operator which has said, like which is performing the right shift operator, so which is been applied here. But since to apply that, we are going to iterate on each value and the spikes, which is, let's say, given as 2. So we will pick this number and we will apply it, all right, and it will return that value, whatever the since for the 1 that we have got. So it will convert that into a binary, it will perform this operator, and it will return the value. So after once we get that, we have to, this is the function that we have just defined, right? But we have to call the functions on this list, and we have to iterate on each value. So we are going to create an empty list for the final situations. Initially it is empty. So we will pick one value from this v, which is like this, and for each value we are going to apply this apply virus method, and where we are going to provide the value and the n value, and whatever the value it may return, we are going to append that into this list. So basically we will get the list here, and in which initially we get 0, then 0, 0, 1, 1, and as you basically uh, iterate this for loop. So you're going to get this list appended one by one. Once you do that, we are just simply printing this final situation. So remember, this final situation is nothing but in a list format. We are getting the output in a list, but we have to show that in a single string. So as you can see, the output format was something like this, space separated values. But since we have this value in a list, again, here you can use a for loop to iterate on this list and print one by one, or you can just simply use the star in the print statement. So that it will iterate the value. It will unpack the list and it will give you the output in this format. Okay. So now let's execute this. Let's try to understand. And here we have enter the number of values, which is 5. Okay, not here. And after that, what are the space separated values that we have to do is 1, 2, 4, 5, and number of spikes is 2. Then you get this output that you have. So basically, you can try upon this and you can give the different input and you can experiment with that. So I recommend you to do the same calculations manually first, like I've shown you with the pen method, and then check the same with the code as well. So this is what the solution is for this. So if you want to look for the solution of C++ as well, so this is a solution for the C++. It's going to be the same, only the syntax that you have to make the changes with respect to how that language works. So here I'll show you on the screen, and maybe you can take a screenshot or you can pause the video and try it on your own and let me know in the comment section like whether you have liked this question or not. So you can try it out in different language as well, C and Java. You can submit that into the comment section, and the people who are going to comment out the codes that I'm recommending. So if you're lucky enough, so you will get top 3 commenters on this video will get a preference of Prime subscription for the free of cost. So that's it for the first question that we have, and now let's move to the second question of the day. Okay, so here we have question 2, and let's try to understand and let's try to break it down, and we are going to write the code for this as well. So basically, the question follows as after JEE means some students got admission into an engineering college. Now there is a class consisting of such and students that we have, and the HOD came in to say it is time to select the class monitor. Okay, but he never gets all of them at one time. Okay, so basically, the n number of students they are not together at any time. So he brought a register. Every time he gets someone with less rank than the previous time, he cut the name and wrote the name of the student and the rank. Okay, so in order to select someone as a monitor, so he's probably going to select someone with a higher rank. So every time someone with a less rank, so first one person he'll he'll keep the rank. If we'll compare it with the second person, second student, if the second student's rank is going to be less than the previous one, then he will cut down that and he will keep the first, and then he will try to check with respect to this. Okay, and this way he is going to select the monitor. So for a given number of ranks he gets each time, you have to predict how many names are cut in the list. So basically he's not getting all the numbers of the total number of classroom at once, so he's going to get that in a batch wise. So based on that, for given number of ranks he gets each time, you have to predict how many names are going to cut in that list, considering that from that list there are going to be some numbers which are higher than the numbers which are lesser. So based on that he will perform whether to cut that number or whether to keep that. Okay, so now let's look at some of the questions here. What is the input format that we have? So number of visiting n is the first line, so it is going to be n, and n separated ranks of HOD getting each time. So this is nothing but we are going to get an array, and output format number of ranks cut in the list. So basically we have to tell the count, like how many numbers is going to cut. Okay, then what is the constraint that we have? So number is less than equal to 10 raised to the minus 9, and it's going to be a positive number. We are not going to deal with the negative numbers here, and the rank is going to be less than 10,000. Here also we are going to talk about the positive numbers only. Okay, so now given this, so let's look at some of the sample input, for example, and let's try to understand how this works. So n value we have as a 6. This is the array of containing 6 elements, and the output here we have 3, which means that he cut like 3 students. This is the count that we have. So let's break it down. So let's try to pick, or let's say if it is an array and we are going to get one number one by one, so we have to use the indexing. The first number, let's say, is a 4, and since there is no, like for the first iteration, since there is no previous number that we have, so he's not going to perform. So either for each number, is going to either cut that number or he's going to keep that. And at the end, we have to tell how many numbers or that he has cut, right? So since this is the first number, we do not have any previous value, so we are not going to perform any of the operation. Then let's say in the second iteration, we have the number 3. Now this number 3 is less than the number 4, right? So this became our previous number now, and this is the current number that we have. So like with the logic, if the current number that we have or the current rank that we have, if it is less than the previous, then it's going to cut that, right? And now then we are going to take which is in the third iteration, which is now we have 7. So this is where the confusion starts, since what will be the previous number right now? So he has picked the previous, whether though we have cut down the number 3, but that was is in memory as a previous number, right? So we are not going to consider this 4 into this. We are going to pick the previous number as the 1, which is, let me show you in this way. So let's say this is an array 4, 3, 7, 2, 6 and 1, and if I give them the indexes, we are going to compare the previous number is, let's say if this array is V, so initially it is going to be V of 0 for the first iteration, it is nothing. Then we are going to read V of 1, and for V of 1 the previous number is going to be V of 0. Likewise, for V of 2, the previous number is going to be V of 1. So that's why we will pick 3 here, not the 4. So what is, since the value of 7, the rank of 7 is greater than 3, so we are not going, he's not going to cut this number. So I hope you understand this part, because what happens is, since we have cut the 3, you might consider that the previous value is 4. Even though for this condition, 4 is less than 7, but there might be some conditions where this might not be true, and in that scenario you might get false. Okay, so now we are going to pick for the fourth iteration, we are going to pick the number 2. 2 is less than 7, then is going to cut this, and then we have for the fifth iteration we have number 6. 6 is greater than 2, so he's not going to perform any of the operation, that is going to keep the number. And in the last iteration we have number 1, and 1 is less than 6, so this will get cut. So out of this, how many times he has performed this? Let's look at that. So here we have performed the cut, here we have performed, and here. And what is the count that we have? 3 is going to be the count in this scenario. So that's why the answer is going to be 3. That is what we have. So same thing that we have to replicate in the coding. So let's jump to the VS Code. Okay, so here we have, let's clear this. I will break it down here. So first thing what we are doing in this, the first line to take the input, the number of visits, and we are going to convert in the same like previous example, we have converted the space separated value in a list. We are going to do that here. And the cut names, like we are going to keep a counter, like how many names he has been cut, and that we have 0. And for the previous rank, initially is going to be a rank of 0. Then we are going to update this value. Okay, and in the for loop, we are going to keep the iteration for I in range 1 to n. For basically example, if we have taken this, and if you have taken the previous example, we have the values like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, something like that. So it's up to you, like how many numbers that you put. So we are going to take it from this. So what I want to tell you is that we are not going to consider this value, since there is no previous value for this one, right? Since there we are not going to perform any of the operation, we are not going to compare any value that we have here, we are not going to compare. So that's why we are trying to read from this range. Alright, and if condition that we have, if rank of I, that means for this list, what are the value at this first index? If it is less than the rank of the previous rank, so currently previous rank is this, so we will compare with this value. If it is less, then we are going to increment the counter for this, and once you do that, then we are going to update the value of this previous rank. So here we are going to update with respect to I. So now the value of I is initially 1. So the rank, it will become, for the next iteration, it will become 1. And then later on it will become 2, and so on. We can add the increment. And once you do that, we are going to print this cut name. So basically how many times this counter get incremented, that count we are going to print that. So that's easy that we have. So let's run this code. Here we have. Okay, so let's take the reference from here. The number we have is 6. And how many separated values we have? 437, 261, 437, 261. And that we have a 3 numbers. Alright, so here we have the same output which I try to explain you in terms of output sense. So you can compare these values. So we have the same, right? So this is how you can basically look at. So basically sometimes these questions might look at the simple, but in terms of that you need to understand the logic. So that's how you can do these questions. Okay, so now that we have, so again this code I have shown you in the Python, but I will show you in C++ as well. So just go through the code that we have. Okay, so I'll just you can just basically pause the video and you can look at that. So once you understand the logic, we are going to use the same loop over here, and we are going to perform on the same operation, but since the syntax is going to be different. All right, so once you okay, this was basically for the coronavirus. I was supposed to show you this. I'm sorry, my bad. So this is what basically that we have for this specific code. This one was for the first one, right? So this is what the second one, I'll show you for a minute. And as you can see on the screen. Alright, since this code that we have in Python and C++, I recommend you to write the same code on. Once you understand the logic, you can submit that in C and Java in the comment section. And people who are like top performer on this comment is going to get the Prime subscription for the free of cost. And on the last note, I just want to tell you that there are more than 30 plus companies are going to hire this placement season. So do consider following us on all our social media channels on Instagram, communities on Discord, WhatsApp, and Telegram, and also follow us on LinkedIn. All the links in bio. And if you like this video, if you have enjoyed it, all the video was informative and it was helpful for you, like the video, and let us know what kind of a companies that are hiring in your colleges so that we can come up with the videos, practice videos for that. That's it for video. I'll see you in the next one.